of the mind, and let the heavens hear it, the penitential hymn. Come, healing of the spirit, come, healing of the limb. Behold the gates of mercy in arbitrary space, and none of us deserving of the cruelty or the grace. O solitude of longing, where love has been confined, come, healing of the body, come, healing of the mind. Oh, see the darkness yielding that tore the light apart. Come, healing of the reason, come, healing of the heart. Oh, troubled dust concealing an undivided love, the heart beneath is teaching to the broken heart above. And let the heavens falter, and let the earth proclaim, come, healing of the altar, come, healing of the name. To lift the little bud, oh, longing of the arteries to purify the blood, and let the heavens hear it, the penitential hymn. Come, healing of the spirit, come, healing of the limb, and let the heavens hear it, the penitential hymn. Come, healing of the body, come, healing of the limb.
My name is Phil, and I'm very happy to be today's liturgist. Welcome. Whether you're a newcomer or an old-timer, someone who's been here a year or someone who used to come years ago, if you found us online or whoever you are, no matter what brought you here today, you belong. We're so happy to have you with us this morning. If you'd like to know more about us, just click onto this QR code and we'll send you a zero-pressure email with more information. You'll also have the option to connect with a live human being, which, if you really want to know what we're about, is the best way to go. You can get a first-hand account of what this place is really like, where we shine, where we might fall short, but mostly how transformation is the aim wherever each of us may be on our spiritual journey. Knowing that making the journey together takes us farther than we can ever go on our own. So welcome. If you are having a hard time today, an even more heartfelt welcome to you. In our culture, we are inclined to isolate when the going gets tough, but we know that standing with each of us, with each other on our rough days is an act of solidarity, an act of love, and part of what makes our personal and collective transformation possible. So each Sunday down the hall, we have a listener who is trained to hold space for us when we are having a challenging time. And if you do need an ear to listen, a shoulder to cry, or just a different perspective to view your struggles, head down to the library down the hall, and a trained listener will be there to hold space for you. Be assured that your conversation is in absolute confidence. And at any time, you can always go to this, again, URL to request support through our community care team. Morgan, her, leads that effort, and if you let her know what's up, she'll get you pointed in the right direction. And now, let's say, as we do each week, if you are here, you belong. We are, every one of us, carriers of the inner light. And we are, every one of us, carriers of divine breath. And as fellow carriers of divine light and divine breath, I invite you all to stand and greet each other.
We invite you to take a seat.
There's more to this ugly game. I see a war designed to never be tamed. I've slept in the rubble amongst the shame, screaming at the bombs, this is not in my name. And I'm seeking kindness, longing for safety, and I'm praying for hope. I'm craving compassion. part of my kin. And I know you now see the torn state I'm in. I can't tell you my name or the places I've been. And I'm seeking kindness, longing for safety, praying for hope. I'm craving compassion, searching for sanity, praying for hope. I've been stripped to the bone, and home is where we can belong. And home is where our children grow strong. Home is where the fire burns low, and home is where peace can come from, and home is where peace can come from. And I'm praying for human kindness, and I'm praying for human kindness. I am praying for human forgiveness, and I'm praying for us all to belong. They call me a migrant, they call me a thief, they call me a beggar man, an asylum seeker. And I was once a teacher, I was once a family man, and I was once a dreamer, a community leader. And I've seen friends and family all scattered and broken, and we don't know why the cruelty keeps raging. Yes, I'm seeking your kindness, I'm longing for safety, and I'm praying for hope. And I'm craving compassion, and I'm searching for meaning, and I feel so alone. Been stripped to the bone. Home is where we can belong. And home is where our children grow strong. Home is where fire burns out. Home is where peace can come from. 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 Home is where peace
You can see a lot going on this week, including monthly brew crew this afternoon. In a minute, I'll give you more details. This coming Saturday, July 11th, is Artsy Group Meetup, starting at 10 o'clock until noon here on the campus. Heather Bowler will lead that up, and so you got supplies. Any craft fair donations are welcome. And you can join Heather's Artsy Statement Workshop for a little coaching as well. Saturday, July 18th, Hope Ministries Outreach and Breakfast, 8 a.m. to 10. Garner, UMC. And it'll to bless our unhoused neighbors in Raleigh, Garner area in a morning service that is here.now.small doable. And if you missed anything or want more, to know more, of course, you can do that one of three ways: our website, our app, and our weekly Thursday email.
Thank you, Phil. Before we get going, I want to give a quick shout out to Chris Barr, who got pressed into service this morning because Gene couldn't make it. So he wasn't listed on our team this morning, so appreciate that. And he's going to be our speaker next week, so it's kind of like he works here now, just so you know. Makes about as much pay as everybody else. I want to remind you one more time that we're doing this breathwork series. It begins tomorrow, the first meditation. And if we do this together and we can kind of see what breath can do for us when we do it with intention and we do it with some consistency. So the way this is going to work is there'll be a meditation uploaded tomorrow morning, and you will be encouraged to enter into that practice as many days as works for you this week. If you can be consistent with it throughout the week, you'll see more benefits. And that's going to happen all summer long. So if you're not subscribed to the Substack and you want to participate, go ahead and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything extra to do it. We'd just love to have you join us there. That's where you're going to find the meditations. And so we'll see how that goes. Looking forward to getting through this month together and breathing together. And at the end of it, I really would like for us, those of us who participate in this, to talk about what you experienced, because breathwork is very much, obviously, something experiential. So with that, I'm going to invite us in this moment to get grounded. Feel your feet on the floor. Some gentle breathing. Just notice your breath and notice that you are here. Just notice. Be aware of your body here in this room. Feel the chair holding your weight. See if you can let your shoulders soften just a little. Let your jaw loosen just a little. Let your hands rest in your lap or on the table. And just notice the breath that is breathing you right now. No need to change it. No need to deepen it. Just notice. Your body is breathing you. And you are here. Now, if it feels comfortable, let your next inhale come in just a little more consciously. And let your exhale leave a little more slowly. Do that again. Breathe in and breathe out. See if you can gently let that breath be your rhythm for a few moments. As you breathe in, feel your body receive life, receive breath. And as you breathe out, feel your body settle. Breathing out breath and breathing out life. Breathe in and receive. Breathe out and settle. Now bring your attention to the room. Not just your own body, but the bodies around you. Other people breathing. Other people carrying things. Other people arriving with whatever they brought here today. There's no need to know what it is. There is no need to fix it. Just let yourself become aware that we are breathing together. Together. Let your inhale be easy and see if you can let your exhale be just a little longer than it's been. Inhale and exhale. Breathe in and breathe out slowly. If it feels right to you, you might say silently with your breath as you breathe in, I am here. And with your breath as you breathe out, we are here. I am here. We are here. I am here. We are here. Now let go of the words. Let your body breathe naturally again. No effort, no counting, just breath. Just presence. And one more time, I invite us to take a full breath in together and a full exhale out together. And invite us all to hold ourselves here.
the other. Hold yourself here. Hold yourself here. Close your eyes and surrender. Release your mind and remember, in this space, in your center, hold yourself here. Hold yourself here. With all of the pain and all of the anger and all of the joy, feel it all together in this space, in your center. Hold yourself here. Hold yourself here. Hold yourself.
So, as many of you know, I am taking time off from doing lessons and sermons and messages this month. And that means you get to hear from some other lovely, very insightful voices. And so today I'd like to introduce my friend, Heather Olson. I think most of you do know her. I met her a couple of years ago when I was invited to join a women's clergy support group that Suzanne Looper co-leads, and Heather's part of that group. And so I've gotten to know her over the past few years. She has been a tremendous support to me in so many ways in that group, and a support to some of you too. She led a trauma support group last year, and some of you participated in that. So she will tell you a little bit more about her background, but she is trained and practiced in getting up to speak in front of groups on Sunday mornings. And so I'd like to invite Heather to come up here and share with you, her story. Welcome, Heather.
Well, thank you, Sue. Trained and practiced, but it's also been over a year since the last time I've done this. I will let you know. All right, and put that guy there. We'll talk about him at the end. Whew, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Heather Olson, as Sue said. Thank you all for having me. And when I asked Sue what to talk about, she said, whatever. And I was like, all right, I might need a little more guidance. And she said, well, I always advise folks the first time they talk at Common Thread to tell the story of how you got there. So this is the story of how I came to be sitting in your back corner, because that's my preferred spot. All right, and I think I am going to use the reading glasses. I am that age. All right, so the beginning of my story is easy. I grew up in the Episcopal Church. I was baptized on Thanksgiving Day when I was 7 weeks old. I was confirmed when I was 14. Growing up, we moved around a lot, 6 times to be precise. But church and the liturgy of Rite 2 from the Book of Common Prayer were always one of the constants, no matter where we lived. That last move was when we moved to the Triangle, when I was in high school. And we joined a local Episcopal congregation that no longer exists. My mom had gone back to school to earn her master's degree while I was in high school. And combined with that last move, that was the end of my parents' marriage. You can see y'all better this way. All right, and text is big enough. The priest at that Episcopal church that no longer exists did not handle it well. In fact, I've always referred to it as pastoral malpractice. Although he'd only known us for about a year, he called my mom and tried to talk her out of leaving my dad. The real zinger, though, was the Sunday after my sisters and I were told. This priest, who is still on staff here in the Triangle, I didn't look for him on purpose, but this priest preached a sermon against divorce. I was 17, I understood my mom's reasons, and I walked out in the middle in tears. The choir director came after me, but I couldn't tell her why I was crying. Because the rest of the church didn't know yet. It wasn't public knowledge yet. It was still going to happen soon. And I wrestled for years with the idea of, can good Christians get divorced for reasons other than the most extreme of infidelity and abuse? I determined yes, by the way. When I went off to college that fall, though, one of my acts of rebellion, because that's not really who I am, one of my acts of rebellion was to find a United Methodist church to attend instead of an Episcopal one. I think I lost my sound. I'm good, okay. You see, when my mom left that Episcopal congregation, she returned to the United Methodist Church, which is where she had grown up. My grandpa was a Methodist pastor, and so visiting my grandparents always meant going to church wherever my grandpa was pastoring. So I was equally comfortable in that denomination as well. Also, the congregation that my mom joined, where she is still active today, had a divorce care group at the time. And so even though she didn't join the group, just knowing that they had it implied acceptance and not judgment for being divorced. One summer in college, I joined that congregation too. And two things happened almost immediately upon joining the United Methodist Church, and they continued for about 10 years until I went to seminary. One was that I learned so much more about my faith. In the Episcopal Church, I knew the creeds. We studied the catechism in confirmation class. In the United Methodist Church, though, I participated in Bible studies and learned more about the history of the Bible and the context behind each book and how they interplayed. I learned about words and ideas like grace and sacrament, and just what those words mean and look like and feel like. The second thing that happened was that my college campus minister and the pastors at the churches I attended during those years in my 20s all encouraged me to consider ordained ministry. And during most of my 20s, I said no. I had already earned my master's degree instead of going back 20 years later like my mom, and I was burned out on higher education. I was good. I was done. I was also discerning a call to teach abroad. My first career was a school teacher, and growing up, I had lived abroad for one of those moves. I had always wondered about doing so again. So I began researching different mission agencies, including the United Methodist one and the Episcopal one, and for a variety of reasons, chose a non-denominational one called Food for the Hungry, which sent me to go teach in Nicaragua. It was a good placement for many reasons, including that I already knew Spanish and I had been to Central America. I'm leaving out a lot of details here, it feels like to me, but what I want you to know is that I loved my time in Nicaragua. I actually dreamed about it again last night. This mission agency required a 3-year contract because they wanted you to really invest in the community and to build relationships and not just spend your whole time adjusting to living in a foreign country. However, I developed rheumatoid arthritis while I was there. Best guess is that it was triggered by the dengue fever that I had a few months prior, that I'd have rheumatoid arthritis anyway, but it would have started at a normal age, like my 50s or 60s, instead of at 26. The doctor there put me on bed rest for a week, which is not what would have been done here, but that's where I was. And I decided to use that week as a personal retreat, spending a lot of time journaling, praying, catching up with friends and family back in the States. And the overall message that came through all of that was that it was time to go back to the US, and it was time to go to seminary, that thing I'd been avoiding. I went to seminary up the road at Duke, and just like my undergrad and my first grad school, it was a matter of the feeling in my body when I visited the campus. that this is where I was supposed to go. And those feelings did not show up with the other schools I visited. I was also United Methodist, which has 2 ordination tracks, deacon and elder. And while I had the education and mission background for deacons, which is common in deacons, I felt called to the sacraments, to the table, to being able to invite everyone. And that means elder. In the United Methodist Church, there are 2 sacraments, baptism and communion. And I love the definition of sacrament that I learned at Duke. It's a visible sign of God's invisible grace. When I graduated from Duke, I requested an appointment, as one does if they're United Methodist and on the elder track. And over 11 years, I pastored churches here in North Carolina and in Maryland. Beginning my first year at seminary, all the way through those 11 years, I was in the ordination process to become a full elder. We're talking 14 years total from when I became a certified candidate, to when I became fully ordained. Some of the delays were my own fault. I was not ready when I first started pastoring. I moved and fell through the cracks. Many other times, though, I was told a variation of, "You're doing a great job as a pastor, and we're not going to move you on in the ordination process." Lord. Too many times, it was a compliment and a rejection hand in hand. So as you may imagine, I burned out as a pastor who was never fully ordained while pastoring a local church. I knew the burnout was coming. I wanted to ask for a sabbatical, and I was advised to wait until I was fully ordained, because all the rules and HR policies are all written for the fully ordained. The last time I was delayed, I was given a new requirement: to complete 1 unit of a chaplaincy internship. For those of you who know the lingo, it's called CPE, Clinical Pastoral Education. I see a few nods. Okay. Had to complete a unit of that because I hadn't done it yet. It's like, what else can she do? Anyway, it was great. It turned out to be great. The board thought that with only 6 months till the next deadline, that it would be 2 years before I would get back to them. However, we were in Maryland at the time, and I called the Johns Hopkins Hospital, who said if I could get my application in by close of business the next day, that they would consider me. They had a unit starting soon and had 1 more spot to fill. So I got everything in, I interviewed the next week, and the unit started the same day that everything shut down for COVID. Same day, there was that last minute email of going, "Do not come to campus, we are going to meet on Zoom, we'll figure it out." And that internship became my lifeline, as I did burn out, and I even came down with shingles by May of 2020. That summer, my husband and I decided that at the end of the next appointment year in 2021, it was time to move back to North Carolina, which we had always planned to do. We've got lots of family and longtime friends here. In the meantime, though, I completed 2 units of the chaplaincy internship at the Johns Hopkins Hospital. A little prestigious, right? And when I went back before the board, this time on Zoom, only 1 year later, but still in tears, they approved me for full ordination. The staff chaplains at Johns Hopkins told my internship educator that the only complaint they had about me was that they couldn't convince me to apply for a residency there. Instead, I did a residency here at Wake Med in Raleigh, which was always my first choice of where to go. And when we had the choice of where to attend church, we went to a progressive Lutheran ELCA church where my husband grew up, and which my kids, who had always been pastors' kids, said, "We can go to church here." Like, all right, sold. I let the staff at that church know that if they saw me in tears during the service or saw me leaving in the middle, that it wasn't them, because I was crying over something just about every week. Something in the music lyrics, something in the scripture, something in the sermon, something would set me off almost every single week. It got to the point my husband requested a code word so that if I left in the middle, he knew why. The word was Voldemort. Eventually, one Sunday, the second Easter that we were there, I completely broke down near the end, and I could not pull myself back together by myself without a bit of help. It was 6 months before I went back to church again. And that was because the pastor asked for my help on All Saints Sunday, which is my favorite church holy day. If he hadn't asked, I don't know how long it would have been. Because even after leaving the pastorate, I was still guest preaching and guest presiding at the Lutheran church, at my home, United Methodist Church, and elsewhere. Everyone knew, like, you need someone, especially last minute. I know firsthand how hard it can be to find a clergy person available on Sunday morning to fill in at the last minute. So I was always willing to help. And if I was helping, if I was in charge of something, then I could hold it together and I didn't cry. It gave me a purpose and a thing to focus on. Meanwhile, chaplain jobs in the Triangle are at a premium. And so I did a second-year residency up at the Durham VA. It was fascinating. I loved it. There was so much I didn't know about military life, about our veterans, and it was a focus on mental health chaplaincy. The first-year residents and the interns did inpatient care, while I worked outpatient with veterans with PTSD, moral injury, those dealing with grief, those in the suicide prevention program. And chaplain service at the VA has a high employment rate of their graduates because they strongly encourage board certification. Now, board certification, one part of it, is a requirement of endorsement, which means your ordaining body, your ordaining institution has to approve you for ministry as a chaplain. I'm told that with other endorsing bodies, it's pretty straightforward. The United Methodist Endorsing Agency, however, I had to call repeatedly to get scheduled to meet with a committee. And then to find out the results of the meeting, I eventually had to get my district superintendent involved. The director of the endorsing agency at the time called me back at 9 p.m. on a Friday night to say that the committee said I did not show gifts or calling for chaplaincy. Yeah, I was fully ordained by that point. I had been for over 2 years. I had been in chaplaincy for 4 years. With all the feedback from my supervisors, educators, fellow chaplains, staff chaplains, my patients and families always being very positive, or at least encouraging, and some gentle nudges on what I could do differently another time. But they had all always affirmed my gifts and my calling for this work. Anyway, I was done. That was the final straw. I took my ball to go play elsewhere. Early 2025, I transferred my ordination, which is how I put it. Technically, I resigned my United Methodist credentials, and I applied for ordination with the Federation of Christian Ministers, which was a pretty simple, streamlined process. Oh my golly. This group started as a splinter from the Catholic Church in the 1970s because they believed that women and LGBT persons should be allowed to be ordained. Many of their members are chaplains, which is how I learned about them from some of my fellow chaplains. In the meantime, we were still sporadically attending the Lutheran Church, but I was getting tired of being triggered and crying in more traditional worship spaces and services. I was getting tired of it. I had met Sue by that point. We met a couple years ago, as she said. And then last summer, my family visited, common thread in preparation for my facilitating the trauma support groups. I keep coming back here because I appreciate the contemplative atmosphere, the calming music, the low expectations. I can just sit in my back corner, and I've tried sitting elsewhere. It's not y'all. I don't feel safe. That's where my body is. I sit in the back corner, and it's okay. And I fidget or I draw or whatever. Every now and then I'm in tears, but it's all right. Because it's still all right. There's still full acceptance and unconditional positive regard from y'all, whether I stand up and greet folks during that time or whether I just stay put. It doesn't matter. I love the time of grounding in each service, times that there's multiple times of grounding in each service, and I can just come and feel held without saying a word, even if I just sit in the back corner and don't talk to anyone. I can still feel held. It's a different kind of sacrament than baptism and communion, but it still feels like that physical, tangible, visible signs of God's invisible grace and love. It feels sacramental and holy to me. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for providing that space, holding this space for me that you don't even know you're doing, I don't think, because I sit in my back corner when I come. Thank you. With fidgets, I also brought, we have a couple of 3D printers at home. My husband had an Etsy store for a long time. We're closing it down, but there are 3D printed fidgets that we brought in the back if y'all need your own fidget or to give to someone who likes fidgets. This is a chameleon. There's axolotls, there's a spinner fidget, and a hexagon-shaped thing. So please, you're welcome to them. But yeah, I'm often back there with something in my hands, fidgeting. So those are for y'all as a gift at the thank you for y'all. Thank you, Sue.
You know, when I was first invited to join the support group that Heather and I are a part of, I was a little nervous. I had a little imposter syndrome because I walked in, I said, there's 4 Methodist ministers here, 1 Baptist minister, and I'm the heretic. What are they going to think of me? Well, it didn't take much time for us all to become close, and now that there are several folks involved with that group here, I think it's exactly because of what Heather just said. This is a remarkable group of people who are authentic and vulnerable and loving and hold the space. And so, thank you. Good on y'all. Let's give Heather a hand for speaking to us this morning. Friends on the live stream, so glad that you joined us this morning. We're about to do something here in the room that we invite you to participate in online called What Are You Thinking, Sensing, and Feeling? We're going to get in touch with what we are sensing and feeling here, and then we're going to invite everyone to share what's on their hearts and what's on their minds. We'll talk about the lesson, we'll talk about the service, we'll talk about what's going on in our lives, what's going on in the world. We invite you to do the same online. If you click the link below the video that says, What are you thinking? It'll take you to a Google Meet, and you can join some of the best people I know who have figured out how to establish and sustain robust spiritual community online. They would love to have you join them for the conversation. If you're not feeling up for a conversation this morning, or you're watching it another time, but you're new to us and you want to know more about this GarageBand community, there is a link below that link that invites you to request an email that is not dissimilar to the newcomer email that Phil mentioned earlier, but this one is a little bit more about what it's like to be part of Common Thread remotely. So if that seems like something that is more likely for you, click on that link. We'll send you that email. It is just as low pressure, just lets you know a little bit more about who we are. And so with that, friends in the room, can we put our hands, one hand on our hearts, and remember that the divine is in us, and that we are called to share the light and the love that is here with everyone in our lives. And so let's extend our other hand to our city and to our world, remembering everyone we encounter, everyone with whom we live, with whom we work, with whom we go to school. We are called to share what is in us with them as we take seriously each week our charge to be healers and repairers of that world. Amen. Friends on the live stream, God bless you. You are dismissed. Friends in the room, I invite you to get in touch with what you are sensing and feeling before we discuss what